Everyone who is saying they're making bacon on the internet,
Oh, Fugazi, it's fake.
Yeah, Fugazi, Fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a...
real bacon is not something that's cooked like a smoked ham, and it's actually a dried product, cured and dried with cold smoking. I'm going to show you exactly what it's all about. Most people don't really think about the smoking as in like whether it's done cold smoking and hot smoking, and hot smoking is really cooking meat with smoke around it, or outdoor baking you could really call it, or roasting to some degree. But there's indirect heat and there's smoke around it. And that's really what most of these recipes are all about. But that's not real bacon. I think there's a lot of good hot smoked bacon out there. The Canadian bacon is probably the classic, which has the loin cut. When it comes to like the curing, there's dry curing where you don't have water, and wet curing or brining where you do have water. If you want what I consider the real bacon, then it's really dry curing. So you dry salt curing, and then you're drying it out afterwards. When you're dry curing and drying it out, you're actually intensifying the flavor because the moisture is going down in the meat. And when the moisture goes down, you obviously have a more intense type of flavor that comes through from the smoke, from the spices, from your salt and sugar and the ratios of that as well. Dry cured, cold smoked bacon is way more intense in flavor. The hot smoking, it's still yum, like it's still really, really nice, but it doesn't have that X factor that what is real bacon. After the salt curing, you get this pellicle formation, and that's really where the protein on the surface of the meat binds together. It creates kind of a tacky layer, and with that tacky layer, it helps the smoke vapor adhere to the meat better, and then you get a much nicer, deeper smoke flavor. Probably one of the big reasons why this is not done is because it takes a lot more time to dry it out. If you're curing and then you're cooking it, then the process is a lot shorter. But when it comes to the dry curing of bacon, you're talking always like a couple of weeks up to a month. It depends also on the fat to meat ratio, because the fat has less moisture than the meat, so you don't get as much shrinkage as well. When talking about real bacon, good smoke flavor takes time, as much time to get that cold smoke onto it. As a tip, what you can do actually with hot smoked, this hammy bacon, cold smoking before you do the cooking as well, which I've done that a few times, it's worked out a bit better, but you're still not drying it out to intensify the flavor. As a comparison, there's a smoky Hungarian salami I do, often at small diameter, 3 sessions of about 5 or 6 hours cold smoking. You compare that to my house bacon, which is garlic and juniper, maximum of generally 5 or 6 hours. 2 sessions, 2 or 3 hours, or just 1 5 or 6 hour session. That's it. But with my homemade cold smoked bacon, I'm trying to get smokiness, but still it's mild and doesn't overpower all the other aspects of the garlic and juniper, salt, sugar combining together to be more than just the separate ingredients. Even though pork does go with sugar, there's enough sugar in the world without shoving it into your bacon, I reckon. When it comes to making the real bacon, here are the steps. Number 1, you like salt dry curing it, so you can either saturate it in salt, or in this method, it's actually a percentage of the weight equilibrium curing, and then I'm turning it over every couple of days, and it creates a little kind of like a marinade brine, and that brine is often like against the meat, so you end up equalizing the amount of salt. I like 3 or 4 days per inch, so at least like a week and a half. And then the pellicle formation, so on a rack or hung up, you can do it in a fridge or a cool environment, and then you're just allowing a little bit of airflow. By doing that, then you're able to adhere more of the smoke vapor during the cold smoking phase. And when it comes to this drying and after the salt curing, you are actually in a way giving the bacon an opportunity to develop. So there you go. There's a lot of bacon out there that is baked, and it's basically just smoked ham. If you want real cold smoked bacon, I'll do some links to cold smoking. I'll do some links to dry curing, so you've got it all.